Welcome back to Glenn Needs a Shave. Look, it's a Gloria. Oh, no, it isn't really. It's a Cedric. But it's the same shape as the Glorias. So that one's a 96. Bit different to the 69 that we've been working on. Doing a roll hoop for that. Maybe today. Might be some of tomorrow as well. But we'll see. It's like 10:15. I'm running a bit late today. Let's have a look at what I've been doing on the older Gloria. And then we'll get into making a roll bar. So obviously, instrument cluster, don't need to tell you that, it's not an engine, quite obviously. It did have a push to start thing in it originally. I fixed the ignition key, so we don't need that, so that'll get blanked off, or we'll do something else with it, whatever. There is another, I think it's oil temp, we've got an oil temp gauge. Might fit in here. Maybe if we get someone to 3D print a little shroud around here and cut this hole out a bit bigger, we might be able to put the oil temp gauge there. That might look alright. But obviously they're not huge. They're just bigger than what the factory cluster was. The factory cluster was actually, the actual bit that you look at, the backplate and the needle, etc., was only 60 millimeters high. It was quite wide though, it was on 270 or something like that. So it's difficult to get these gauges to fit within that sort of confines. I did try, and I did fiddle around with the original, what are we going to call it, shroud or trim, and see how close I could get it. And it was looking plausible, but it just didn't look very aesthetically pleasing. So this isn't quite finished yet. This will get some form of surface coating, flocking or something like that perhaps. And the outside edge here, I've tried to make that so it's pretty similar width to this trim that they stick on, so we can polish just that outside edge and make it look a bit more factory-like. It's not going to line up terribly well on this side, but that's not a big deal. And then the top of the actual structures had a bit of debauchery going on, chopping and changing, and I've clearly not finished with that yet. And basically we'll put a little eyebrow over the top of that. And then the original factory, what are we going to call that? Garnish or trim or foam cover goes over the top here. We'll probably just get cut about here. We'll make a new one to go over the top of this that will then overlap over the top of the original factory one, and that should look quite smart. And the original factory one had shrunk anyway. It fitted all the way along this side here, all quite nice. Went over this here, all nice, came along, got to this side, and it was quite a bit too short. It was about ½ an inch at least too short to trim nicely with this other side. So we're kind of killing two birds with one stone there. If you look back through the older videos, you'll see I did try and make the original mechanical Speedo operate off an electric motor that was sort of successful. We just didn't have the control that we needed to get it to run accurately. And apparently they are notoriously unreliable, those systems. So I've ditched that. We've gone with those gauges. This is an electronic Speedo head that you could see in there. So this here, Carl's car. Carl's been following the lab for a while. Wants a, like I say, a roll bar put in here. So we're going to use this main structure that runs through here. That's normally under the front edge of the rear seat. We'll use that as our base for our roll bar. It is a little way back from the seats, maybe about 250, something like that. But that's okay, that gives you enough room for your harness to be the correct length and angle, etc., and some adjustability in the seats. They are reclining seats, or they might not be. Hey, that door's locked. Not anymore. They might not be reclining seats, they kind of look like they are. No, they're not, so that's alright. They've just got the sides cut out so it's easier to use the factory seat belts, I guess. That's what was fooling me. I was going to say, so being reclining seats with a little bit more distance won't hurt because it'll help keep the angle within trim, but forget that, that's all wrong. So we're going to go mount plates down the bottom here. Got to remove all this electrical guff out of the way. Mount plates there, mount plates up. Come on camera, up here, because I don't want to cut through this panel and get through to the strut tower in the back, and there's other reasons why we don't want to attach to that. So top of the wheel arch there, where it's nice and strong, that will work. and simple harness bar and diagonals. Done. Easy peasy. Let's get on with it. So these trims in the back, typically bolted on in a couple of places, and they run a series of clips down the side to hold the wires inside. I guess they wanted to try and make it easy for the guys assembling them. It's a lot of plastic here, but I guess Nissan's probably not paying much for plastic, right? So that's the same on both sides, not the original, well, aftermarket factory. I'll get it right eventually. The aftermarket speaker wires and a battery cable run through here as well. So it's just something to be aware of. I'll probably put, what do they call it? Cat track or bloody spy wrap or something like that around that whole thing as a bundle. Once we've got all this off and we've got our cage in here, our bar in here. This is a big one. This one runs right through to there. It's all got to come out. It's in the way. Bit of a laugh. Passenger side, they've gone absolutely mad. Cray with wiring. Haven't even really had a look in the boot to see what's hiding in there, but some sort of fancy radio system, no doubt. Looks like it's got a bass, a woofer, and all that sort of carry on from the factory. So, right, next up we've got to get the insulation off here. Sometimes factory insulation can be quite hard, and you can just literally give it a bit of a, like that, and then attack it with a bit of a scraper and it comes off. This one doesn't feel like that, but I'll give it a go anyway. You guys don't need to hear and see the kerfuffle of that. Cool, sound dampening and paint etc. removed from the general areas. Not 100% convinced I'm going to put that there. I may actually build a box and shift it forward just a little bit, but we'll see how we go. It's better for balance and strength and all that sort of carry on where it is. And as I said, it's not actually that far back from the seats. I think it's probably okay. Things we're going to weld on here, that's the single skin. On the other side, there's typically sound dampening / rock guard material on this particular car. Because of what it does, let me get the torch here for you. There's a bit of rubber in there, eh? So I'm going to have to take the wheels off, clean all that off, or we'll have a fire while I'm trying to weld the roll cage in. That's alright, that's what these things are for. Good fun. That'll do for what we're doing. A little bit of paint won't hurt. Tiny little thin layer there. Be a bit stinky, but another couple of minutes I'll have it back to bare metal, so let's do that. Mint, that'll do. Driver's side done, I'll do the passenger side. Start looking for some material to make some base plates, some foot plates, mount plates, whatever, floor plates, whatever we want to call them. You'll never guess what's happened. We've run out of day. Well, not really. It's only like 4:30, but it's a Friday. So there's a pretty decent sized plate. The minimum size is 120 square centimetres. We've got 11 by 15, whatever that is. I'm not going to do the maths off the top of my head. It's a lot more than 120. And that one there is shaped to suit the curvature of the guard. But like the old eggshell thing, it'll make it real hard to push it in that direction, because that's got a double compound curve on it. The little bit that's not welded there, that's a rib that's in the wheel arch. You can see a little bit of a shape there. Welded that side I'm going to leave. It's a little bit of a gap. So that covers our 60 centimeters squared that we're supposed to have, because it's a lot bigger than it needs to be. It could be 6 by 10, but because there's a rib that runs underneath there, you're supposed to take that into account. So that'll do. So the bar will come up here, just behind the, well, it'll run up behind the door handle there, and another bar there, and a couple of crossbars, diagonals that way, and a harness bar in the main hook. I'm kind of hoping I can tack it all together in the car and then pull it out and weld it all on bench and then push it back into the car. There should be enough room to get that in and out of there. But we'll find out. We'll get it done. Welcome to Saturday. So, had a little bit of help from Christopher and his mate Murray. They popped around to have a look at chopping down a tree. It's a bit big for me to chop down. It's like 50 metres high or something. It's a big tree, so we'll get the professionals to do it. And while they were here, we binked up the main hoop on this Laurel roll cage thingy. Let's push this button, hang on. Boom! Right, so main hoop done just a tiny bit different to what you would normally do it. So this is obviously the top section and those top beams. That's pretty standard, that's normal. And then the main legs, I guess you call them. There's no extra bend in the middle there, right about where that shadows, what do we call it? A beam of the tube there. That's a Navy term for you there. So the reason for that is we want to leave the door handles in the door cards. Leave that interior intact. And so the motorsport manual says that it's got to be as close as practical to the interior of the vehicle. So seeing as he wants to leave these door handles here, because they are part of the door cards. Door cards want to stay on there. Don't really want to chop a big hole in the doors here for the bar to come up. Where's my finger gone? There it is. Come up perfectly vertical from there as you traditionally would, and then sort of follow the curve of the windows up to the top of the roof there. So we're going to go basically from that corner that's up there, exactly in the middle of your screen there, straight down to there. No big deal, no difference in strength or anything. If anything, it's probably stronger because there's no bends in it that tend to weaken the tube. So you just end up with a structure like that. And I mean, those are actually, you're supposed to be as close as practical to vertical. Those are 10 degrees from vertical there. And I think the reference for vertical, pardon me, Coca-Cola making me burp, is in this frame. So they want it as close as possible to vertical that way. There has to be some angles in this tube. Anyway, you can't avoid it. It's just the way it works. So I'm about to test fit that in the car. Haven't done that yet. That is supposed to fit. Let's try it out. See if it goes in the car. Looks like we got the angle pretty much right at the bottom there. That's okay. I'll actually flip the bar around because I do want to lean it forward ever so slightly. But as far as fitting in the car, that's just touching those lights on the interior there by the tiniest little bit. So I would call that a perfect fit. And we plan to have about 20 mils of clearance for the door handle. Or not. Okay, so that one's pretty much was touching, wasn't it? What's the story over this side? Maybe it needed to come this way, but yeah, that's all it was. So we need to just move this over to there. There's our 20 mils or something like that, whatever it is. I've got to measure that up and make sure it's in the middle. We can do a couple of tack welds to hold that, and then we can get on with making our diagonals, so back braces rather, back stays they call them. So these have to be a minimum of 30 degrees. If we come from this point here, we get 40 degrees. If we come up to here, and this has to be within 100 millimeters, this attachment point, 100 millimeters of this radius. So here's this radius right here. So we can actually do this quite nicely, get access to the weld, get it done really, really easily. Kind of hoping I can tack this all together and get this cage back out of the car and then put it back, weld it all up and put it back in, but we'll see. Maybe we can't, and if that's the case, we've got good access for welding anyway. Winning, all those wires will go on the outside of the bars, not on the inside like they are at the moment, although I'll check with the owner and see what he wants. Alrighty, I got a bit carried away and forgot to video a couple of steps for you, but she's in. The wires on the outside, like I said I would, heaps of room. It's just, it'll make it tidier when it's done. Welding's alright, not super fantastic. Some of it is pretty bloody fantastic. That'll do, eh? Just about put the diagonal in. Let's see, a good notching A good notching is good. Can't go wrong with a good notching. So, as that stands there, I think we've got about, I'm going to guess and say it's 3 degrees. Where's my 3 degrees that way for the main hoop. They are 10 degrees. A bit short of 10 degrees actually. They're probably 8 degrees towards the top from the base there. So that's all right. They're not worried about that. They're just worried about this fore and aft thing. Because obviously if you have this hideously leaned over like that and you're just doing a roll bar, not a cage, and you get a big impact from the top, it'll just tear everything out of the back here and fold over forwards, and the bad things will happen. So the owner, Carl, he did want extra bars, make it as strong as possible. So I'll get that diagonal in. I'll see how we go for the angle in the middle there. The intersection might be quite a acute angle, which makes it difficult to do a nice crossbar. Yeah, will be by the time we try and put a bar across here. I'll look at the angle, see how it goes. Just thinking it might be too late to put one in. Actually, no, it'll be fine. We'll just sneak it down a little bit. We can do that, and then I'll have a chat with him, see if he wants to do a bar from the bottom of the hoop there up to the bottom of there. Include those ones, that gives it quite a bit more guts. He's thinking about doing a full cage at a later date, which will require removal of interior and stuff, because you're not going to get past the seats with the sidebars. Just can't. So you'll have to pull those inside panels out. At which point we'll do NASCAR style bars, I guess. They can bend out from here out towards the outside of the car, and away they go. And that'll be lovely. And we can put a bar across behind the seats on the side intrusion bars to give them a bit more guts. There's a little bit of a distance from there to the seats. It's not as bad as what it might look on the camera. So I haven't got huge hands. So should all be sweet. Right, I'll carry on and get this diagonal welded in, and I'll have a chat with him. Boom, done. That's enough for a Saturday. Run out of day. They never look good on camera, eh? They look pretty good in person. Look at that. Closes beautifully. Reasonable distance there. It's not quite my finger thickness. Got fat fingers, I suppose, but there we go. It's going to look good with a bit of paint on it. I will, I haven't talked to the owner yet. We'll have a yarn with him about whether he wants more bars. See, they don't look bad. It's just the camera seems to make them look funny on certain angles, so never mind. That should be good. We've got our harness bar at the right height. Just hit my head on the march. Dirty little bugger. So as you can see, I'm standing up quite high compared to the car. So it's cool. Done. All right. I'm going to finish this off later on. Oh, I did say I was going to show you what's under here. Let's do that. Hang on. Let's pause. The venerable VQ30DET. So these come out factory with a turbocharger on them. It's got a Synco sticker on this. Oh yeah, looking in there, I think it's had aftermarket manifolds made up. It does look like it, yep. So those will be Synco manifolds at a guess, seeing as it's got a sticker on the car. And looking at the plenum on that, kind of resembles something I just made in a way. Maybe you could have sourced one of those and chopped and changed it and saved a whole lot of hassle, but never mind, we're done, so that doesn't matter. Oh look, remote oil filter and stuff, and fuel pressure reg. I think he said it was 230 kilowatts, so that's all right. Not bad. It should go pretty well. Anyway, that'll do. Told you I'd show you that. Just showed you that. It's got the old vents in the bonnet too. Bit of a drift wagon. The rear wheel arches were full of oh, did I sweep it up? No, there's some there. Full of rubber. It's alright. Good fun. Good fun. Right. Cheers, boy.